Okay, thank you for attending today's lectures. I know it's kind of inconvenient because we will entering the holiday zone, but like it or not, we have to do it today. So I will not take your times too much. Let's just start. Okay, so today the topic would be the design of forms and reports. The forms and report I use for form especially used for inputting data into the system, while the report is the output of that data. What I will discuss or explain to you today is not the aesthetic of design, because I'm not expert in that. I don't have aesthetic taste that sellable, if you like. However, we need to make sure that the forms and report can be read easily, easily formed, reduce or minimize error in data entry, or reducing error in reading the form. So making the forms and report easier to read, things like that. For the aesthetic part, this is where usually we hire graphical designer to create functional yet aesthetic or beautiful forms. Okay, so let me share you the screen. Okay, so it's forms, report, and design. So form is defined as a business document that contains some predefined data and may include some areas where additional data are to be filled in. Okay. Usually forms will be used for filling information or data into the database tables. Okay. If you remember Microsoft Access, then you create table for Microsoft Access, and then you create forms to fill out that tables. While report is a business document that contains only predefined data. So report will be the output of system processing, information processing. Okay, so it can only be read or viewed. Okay. Report typically contains data from many unrelated record authorizations. So we will employ queries or data search to find the appropriate information to populate the report. Okay. So here's are the common types of report. First, for scheduled report, this is a produced report that at predefined time intervals or routine information, such as your attendance record, your transcript. It will be generated and distributed regularly, every end of semester perhaps, and so on and so forth. Financial report is this type of scheduled report that should be created and then distributed on specific time of every year. There are reports that we call key indicators that provide summary of critical information on a regular basis. For example, giving us information on the, if you look at the dashboard of your motorcycle or car, information in that dashboard is telling us the key indicator of our vehicles, like the speed, the electricity perhaps, the temperature of the engines, and any other information. Exception report is a highlight data outside of normal operating ranges. For example, you will get this report if something was wrong. Many systems currently employ some sort of fraud detection system. Fraud detection system was designed to detect some anomaly in the data. So, for example, this has been used by many credit card companies. Whenever a customer using their credit card, the company will record the usage, and then they will make an analysis. So, for example, if I spend on average 5 million a month, and perhaps just 5 transactions, so 1 million each, if suddenly I made a transaction paid with my credit card in, say, 5 million, the credit card company will warn me that there is something abnormal about the usage. It's also been used by ANZ, for example, in the early 2000s for giving notification to credit card customer if there is an indication that their credit card has been hijacked and has been cloned or has been used, unauthorized use by somebody outside their country. In those days, many people stealing credit card information and use it for buying products online. So if, for example, I never went out from Indonesia and then suddenly I made purchase in Singapore, then ANZ will notify me. If it's real me who made that transaction, fine. But if it's not me, then ANZ will cancel that transaction. Okay, drill down. Drill down is a capability of report to provide details information behind summary of the indicator or exception report. For example, there is notification that there is transaction that occur in overseas. Then you can drill down that report, that notification, showing you exactly where and how much and what for. Ad hoc report is respond to unplanned requests for non-routine information needed. For example, this is usually came around the time for reaccreditation of our program or our department or our faculty. Then usually the faculty management will ask this ad hoc report, like how many students currently in thesis writing, how long does it take for a student in average to graduate from the time they admitted into the faculty, things like that. Okay, so process for designing form and report is a user-focused activity, because the user that will use that forms and report. So we need their feedback. We need to get users' perspective on how the form and report should be. Okay, we should create the form and report that will allow users to do their jobs flawlessly, smooth, without any disturbance, and also make them make their works more efficient. Okay, so we need to understand who are the intended user and what kind of tasks or activities involving those forms and reports. For example, if it's for the CEO of a company, then the report should be summarized first. This key indicator, for example, do not bother the CEO with detailed report. Always came up with the executive summary or the summarized report with key indicators for that. And then if the CEO wants to deep down, he or she could drill down the report. Okay. So these are typical questions that will guide us in designing form report. Who will use the form or report? Okay. What is the purpose of the form of report? Entering data, executing transactions for daily routine reports, or making any decision like purchasing inventory or hiring somebody. So different activities will require different form and report. When is needed or used? Where does the form or report need to be delivered and used? Is it a hard copy? Is it soft copy that appear on the screen? Will it be archived? If it's being archived, what are the options for archiving? Like for example, your study report every semester was not intended for archive. That's why it was printed on flimsy thin paper. But on the other hand, once you graduated, you will receive your academic transcript, and that's supposed to last as long as possible, even longer than the owner of the transcript. Therefore, academic transcript and university testament will be printed on thicker and higher quality paper than your routine semester report. How many people need to use or view the reform or report? Is there any sensitive information that only can be seen by certain people? Okay. So the ideal method for designing form and report is to create a prototype. So you create a mock-up report or mock-up form and ask user to use or read it, and then get their feedback, improve the design, ask the user to use it or read it again, get their feedback, and so on and so forth until the designer and the user reach an agreement. Yes, this is the form, and yes, this is the report. In those days, this is when I was learning programming back in 1990. At that time, computer screen mostly text-based rather than graphical-based like what we used to have today. So there is a finite amount of space on the screen for display. So it's like this. This is a typical screen layout in the old days. Nowadays, with a graphical user interface like what we have, it's very easy to change the size of picture and font, for example. Therefore, this kind of grid is no longer necessary. When I was designing form, for example, I need to calculate the coordinate of this customer number field, for example. Okay, using this coordinate, how many box to the right, how many box to the down, things like that. Okay, and that's only for specific size of screen. It was 14 inch at that time. So if I change my application to say 17 inch or 20 inch monitor, I need to recalculate the design of my phone, the coordinates of all those data point here. Nowadays, it's easily can be translated into this. This is a form design using application called Microsoft Visual Basic.net. Okay. And there are plenty other forms design. So what's the deliverables and outcome? Design specific, the deliverables and outcome, the design specific again, four major deliverables and input to the system implementation phase. Okay, so what are the design specification? First, narrative overview. Describing the users and their activities or tasks or works that use that form or report. the system and also environmental factors. For example, will you use the form with laptop or desktop sitting in the office, or will you use it using your mobile phone somewhere in the field? There are differences. And also sample design, and then third is the testing and usability assessment. Okay. Nowadays, if you look at this, another screen, I'm currently, I believe you will familiar with this. This is Microsoft Form Builder. I built a form for a seminar registration that will be held at the end of May for our department. So it's very easy to see this kind of form, to build this kind of form using Microsoft Forms or Microsoft Access or Google Form even. So it's easy. This is not really rocket science or something like this. Okay. So there are plenty. Okay, let me show you my form. So this is the form. Okay, it can be used for many things. Let me. Okay. Okay. The share is on. So this is the form. Okay, Microsoft Form. It's very easy to build, very easy to develop. You don't need to understand any programming code behind it because Microsoft will accommodate that. Okay. Okay, so that's the form part. Okay. Then how we format the forms and report. First, it has to be have meaningful titles. So at the bank, for example, you will not confuse by withdrawal form and deposit form. And if you look at many banks, they will give different color for their different form. For example, if it's withdrawal, it will have bluish color design. If it's with deposit, it will have red. If it's transfer, it will have white, things like that. So just by looking at the color, customer will understand that there are different forms. Okay, and it's also help the cashier, the teller, for example, to process the form because teller do make mistakes. I had a friend once that when he made withdrawal from his account from the bank, he got the money, but then after he came home and opened his account book, the book from the bank, he saw that what's supposed to be withdrawal transaction was recorded as deposit transaction. So not only he get 10 million rupiah, withdraw 10 million, he also got extra 10 million in his account. So this kind of color scheme will help both customer and the employee. Meaningful information, including only necessary information with no need to modify. Balanced layout and easy navigation. For example, this is a bad example of a poorly designed forms. Okay. This, although it's not highly aesthetical, it's much better design with all the information being gathered in cluster, okay, and also with easy to read flow. Okay. This is only applicable to electronic form. It's not or report. It's not applicable to paper-based form and report. First, we can notify user of errors in data entry or processing. Okay, as simple as, for example, this field is mandatory. You need to fill information here. Otherwise, the form could not be reported. Provide warning regarding possible problem. For example, if you ask user to provide with email address, you can create a little script that can detect if the email was a legitimate email address or not. How it can? It's simple. Just detect if there is an symbol or character in email address. If there is no character, then it's not a legitimate email address. Draw attention to keyword comments, high priority message, unusual data values, things like that. So I will not discuss too much on this because I'm not expert in form and report design, but we always use upper and lowercase, bold, italics, underlining, boxing, size and color differences, sound, notification, things like that. Now, with color, we need to treat color carefully. And there is, for example, for the first point, suits or strikes in the eye. There is a different taste in color between Asian and Western people. If you look at Asian web design, for example, let me share you. No, not this one. So if you look at this, for example, Hong Kong University came up with a colorful scheme, green. Okay. Another university in China, Peking University, red color. Okay. Compared to, for example, MIT. MIT have calmer or sooner color scheme. Or let's go to Oxford, for example. Again, they have calmer color. Okay. Sorry, forget to share this. Okay, so this is University of Oxford. They have like dark blue. Peking University, for example, they have red, and also the pictures emphasizing bright colors, while the Oxford tend to have calmer or cooler in terms of color picture. Okay, so there is nothing wrong with it. It's just a matter of taste, but you need to understand that. So for example, if you want to attract attention to customer or user in China, you need to utilize red bright colors. If you want to attract attention for customer from Europe, Western Europe, you need to have better color scheme, a different color scheme. Okay. Nowadays, a lot of websites employ dark theme. So if the system detected you are accessing that website, for example, at night time, it will immediately change the color into dark theme. But when you access that website or system during the daylight time, then they will change it to light theme rather than the dark theme. Okay, so let me return to the slide. So you need to be aware of that. Now, the next thing that you need to be aware is colorblind people. Okay. Like it or not, there are people who are colorblind. Some could not see red color, the other could not see green, or the other could not see blue, or combination of those three. So this is where design science people from graphic designer will understand. They can match different color to create uh, color scheme that could be helpful for people with colorblind disabilities. Okay, it's good that we have uh, attractive display. Okay, emphasize the logical organization of information and also draw attention to warning. Evokes more emotional reaction. Okay, color versus no color. We already covered this a bit. You need also to be aware the resolution. Nowadays, different computer, for example, have different resolution. You can have full HD resolution, for example, and then you have quad HD, and then you have 4K or ultra HD. So different color scheme will have different. For example, my laptop screen now is categorized as ultra high definition, and that becomes problematic when I install an application called Mendeley, because Mendeley was designed for full HD, which is lower resolution. So whenever I install Mendeley and use Mendeley, the font will be so small that borderline unreadable. And also different display probably will have different appearance. The red in my laptop probably different from the red in your mobile phone. Okay, plain text, and this is an example of poor design. This is much better design in terms of it could be read easily. Labels. Oh, one more about graphic. You may use graphic or any multimedia files, but you need to consider people with disabilities. For example, people with blindness usually use text-based browser to access information. Text-based means that the browser will read the text and then will translate the text into voice to the blind. So the blind people could navigate the web using that. Okay. So if you build a website or application full of graphics without any text to accompany that graphic, it will be difficult for people with sight disabilities to navigate. I'll skip this to others. So this is again, there are examples of poor and well-designed form and report. Okay, now from time to time, especially with numbers, people tend to be confused with numbers. Yeah, therefore it's a good idea to represent those numbers using graphical representation like chart or graph. In fact, this practice of translating data, raw data, into a visual representation is currently a good profession. It's called data visualization. You probably often hear the term infographics. That means that translating mundane information into graphical design. Let me find, I have this, just a moment. Okay. I need to find a website belong to a data visualization specialist that she has worked for many big names like New York Times to show the database. Okay, let me see. So basically what this person did was translating data into visual. Okay. Let me try that. No, it's not this. Okay, I find it. Okay, so the website is called Visual Cinema. Okay, so this is what the person name was. Let me see. Let me check if I can find the name. Nadine Bremer. Okay, so this is part of her work. For example, this one is for UNESCO. Okay, so we created this visualization for UNESCO to, let me see, intangible cultural heritage, like family trees, dance, food, costumes, things like that. So she created this. Another project that she was involved was with Google Fish Lab. This is personal. Scientific American, The Guardian, the newspaper, for example. So this is the bus project where people given free one-way bus ticket. Okay, and these are the bus ticket being used. This is for New York Times digital tracker to see where people came from when they visit New York Times. Okay, so that's why when you creating a visual report, you can be as creative as possible, especially if you want to attract a wider audience. Okay. Again, you need to understand the audience. In 1990s, when I was graduated, I had a friend that he was quite expert in graphical design. So for his thesis, he created three-dimensional pie chart instead of two-dimensional pie chart. And he put it in different perspective, different. Some of them are seen as lying down, sometimes seen as standing up. Okay, so when he went to the thesis exam, the examiner comment was, you need to make revision. Don't use those fancy graphic. So the examiners want my friend to change the three-dimensional pie chart back into two-dimensional pie chart, and also as much as possible black and white or gray rather than color. And back in 1990s, color printer was so expensive, so my friend spent money for nothing. Okay, so you need to understand different element of graphics and what it means, different color scheme. Okay, for example, if you want to show percentage or to show how many people got how many percentage, then pie chart. If you want to show growth, that's probably line chart. Okay, and so on and so forth. And then at the end of the design, we need to assess the usability. Objective for designing form and reports are usability. What is usability? Usability is this. Overall evaluation on how system perform in supporting a particular user for particular task. You probably often heard that some devices are easy to use, some other devices are not so easy to use. That's actually referred to usability. Okay. If you ever try to use Linux, for example, without the graphical user interface, it's quite hard for a new person who just learned how to use Linux. But for veterans, computers administrator, Linux is using text with command line. You have to type in the command. It's actually the fastest way they can finish the job. But for new user, graphical user interface is the one. So usability is relative to the job that you want to do and also your experience. For example, I was trained when using computers. The first computers that I used and also learned from was text-based. So until now, I'm still comfortable doing some works in my computer by typing in the command rather than clicking the mouse or touching the object. Okay. So it has speed, accuracy, and satisfaction. Okay. So usability success factor is one, consistency. It has to be consistent, color scheme, the font, things like that. Efficiency. As much as possible, avoid user typing in information. Provide them with choice, selection, or just check the box. Provide pre-defined information rather than user have to type in. Okay, that will reduce or minimize the error. Is we need to help user to understand the form and fill them out as easy as possible, using appropriate display data and symbol, and also flexible. Okay, user may use touchscreen, user may use mouse, user may use touchpad, keyboard, things like that. Okay. So what's the measure of usability? Time to learn. The faster, the better. Speed of performance, again, the faster, the better. Rate of errors, the lower, the better. Retention over time, how long it for the how long the user able to stay in that particular task using that particular methods. Okay. The longer, the better. Subjective satisfaction, are the user satisfied with that, and also layout of information should be consistent both within and across application. That's it for today. Any question? Okay. No? Okay, if there's no question, I don't want to disturb your preparation for holiday or whatever you want to do during the break. So have fun and see you next week.
Okay.